Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died.
She wrote, "Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god."
If you were on the scene and you were powerful, like, to be honest, like, if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Now, Oprah is limited in the context of the files, but there is clear collusion between Oprah and Jeffrey Epstein.
For decades, millions of people sat in their living rooms, staring at their television screens, taking every word spoken by one woman as absolute gospel. She wasn't just a talk show host. She was America's conscience, the ultimate seal of approval. If she told you to read a book, it became a global bestseller overnight. If she told you to buy a product, it sold out in minutes. If she told you to trust a person, you trusted them without a second thought. That was the power of Oprah Winfrey. She curated an image of pure, untouchable humanitarianism, standing as a beacon of light in an industry known for its dark shadows. But what happens when the cameras turn off, the audience goes home, and the heavy velvet curtains of Hollywood are pulled back to reveal what is really pulling the strings? The illusion shatters. Before the unsealed files and the leaked flight logs ever saw the light of day, there was a $40 million compound and a dark, heavily guarded secret. To truly understand the cracks in this humanitarian facade, we have to rewind all the way back to 2007. With massive fanfare and global press coverage, Oprah launched the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. It was meant to be her crowning achievement, a state-of-the-art sanctuary designed to uplift young, vulnerable women and give them a chance at a brilliant future. Hand-picked students were brought into a pristine environment that looked more like a luxury resort than a school. It was the perfect public relations triumph. But behind the heavy gates and manicured lawns, the sanctuary had morphed into a nightmare. Reports began to slowly leak out that something was terribly wrong inside the dormitories. It didn't take long before a female dorm matron was accused of unspeakable acts, physically and emotionally mistreating the very students she was hired to protect. The allegations were chilling. More than 15 brave young girls stepped out of the shadows, whispering horrifying accounts of what was happening under the cover of darkness.
The trial of a former dormitory matron charged with abusing 6 students at Oprah Winfrey School for Girls in South Africa is resuming. Prosecutors say former dorm matron Tina Virginia Makopo tried to kiss and fondle the girls. She's also accused of kicking and hitting some of them. Makopo pleaded innocent to 14 charges of indecent assault and criminal injury in South Africa. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the ex-head mistress of the $40 million school is suing Winfrey for defamation. The suit claims someone would conclude from Winfrey's comments that the school employee knew of the alleged abuse and was actively involved in covering it up.
I was, needless to say, devastated and really shaken to my core.
Winfrey said she was disappointed in the former headmistress. The TV talk show host also made comments about students who felt there was an atmosphere of repression at the school.
And I spoke to all the girls personally, and I encouraged all of them, any of them who had actually been harmed, to please come forward.
But that overseas scandal was just a terrifying warm-up for the shadows lurking in her own backyard. Being in a billionaire's little black book is one thing, but actively participating in a public relations cover-up is something else entirely. After Jeffrey Epstein was officially arrested and branded as a registered offender in 2006, his reputation was in absolute ruins. The spotlight was getting too hot, and the walls of his empire were cracking. So he did what incredibly powerful, wealthy people always do when they get caught. He tried to buy his way back into society. He pivoted incredibly hard into elite philanthropy, throwing massive amounts of money at universities, prestigious scientific institutions, and global charities. He wanted to wipe his slate clean and rebrand himself as a misunderstood genius and humanitarian. But the money wasn't enough. He needed something money couldn't directly buy. He needed legitimacy. He needed someone the public implicitly trusted to vouch for him on the world stage.
Epstein documents reveal that a woman stated on record that Epstein offered her money to birth babies for black market use. The email also mentions John of God, who has ties to Oprah, who was sent to prison for keeping women and children in an underground lair where he would ride them for years and birth babies for organ harvesting and black market purchases. He would then eliminate the women and children when they were no longer useful or could produce children. This was one sick monster who deserves more than prison and the most severe punishment possible.
The mention of missing children and bizarre biological experiments sounds like fiction, but the unsealed files revealed an obsession that proves the elites were playing a very sick game. What exactly were Jeffrey Epstein and his powerful friends doing behind closed doors? The answer found in the released documents is far more twisted than a standard trafficking ring. For Epstein, this wasn't just about twisted pleasure or blackmail. He was actively trying to play God. Epstein had a deeply disturbing obsession with eugenics, genetic engineering, and breeding his own supreme lineage. And he wasn't doing this in a secret, dusty basement. He was hosting lavish dinners, luxury lunches, and elite conferences with some of the most powerful and well-funded scientists on the planet.
Epstein told scientists and businessmen about his ambitions to use his New Mexico ranch as a base where women would be inseminated with his sperm and would give birth to his babies. Mr. Epstein's goal was to have 20 women at a time impregnated at his 33,000 square foot Zorro ranch in a tiny town outside Santa Fe.
His ultimate goal was centered around his sprawling 33,000 square foot property known as Zorro Ranch in a tiny town outside Santa Fe, New Mexico. According to testimonies from survivors and documents, Epstein wanted to use the massive ranch as a literal base to run a breeding farm. His terrifying ambition was to have 20 women impregnated at a time with his own DNA to breed the perfect human. The unsealed files are littered with emails proving he was heavily researching and funding designer babies. He was ordering massive amounts of genetic testing kits and sending them out to his elite friends, including incredibly wealthy Hollywood directors.
You can get paid a lot more than that.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500 for I'm prepared to outbid him anyway. Whatever I bid, he's going to outbid me. I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs. Yeah. If you have abortion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. Yeah. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured and recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody, it's life for George R. Bush. No, the best eggs are 16 to 18 years old. Those are the best eggs. 16 to 18-year-olds.
That's what I was thinking.
So you may not be our top candidate.
No, that's fine. I know it's my business anyway.
The files reveal email chains with a man named Brian Bishop, a software engineer and biohacker who was gaining attention for trying to fund a DIY designer baby project using unregulated cryptocurrency. The emails discuss utilizing CRISPR gene editing technology to engineer human embryos for enhanced traits like massive muscle mass and improved memory. It was a billionaire using his endless resources to hack the human genome for his own
In the Epstein files, it literally shows emails that Jeffrey Epstein was creating designer babies. I really want to know why we haven't heard the DOJ talk about this, especially since some of the survivors said that this happened to them in Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico property, Zorro Ranch. How I found out that he was working with another person to create these designer babies is because I saw him ordering a lot of 23andMe kits, and he was sending them to a lot of different people as gifts. In this email, he was sending some to Woody Allen and his adopted daughter at one point in time, who is now his wife. And I started to see a lot of emails in the Epstein files of people saying that they were pregnant to Jeffrey Epstein, or even alluding that he had actual children. Like this email in 2011 to Jeffrey Epstein, and it appears to be from Sarah Ferguson, and it said, "You have disappeared. I didn't even know you were having a baby. It's so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to Andrew, and that really hurt me deeply, more than you will know. Congratulations on your baby boy." And this email in 2006 from Glenn Dubin to Jeffrey Epstein. "I get pictures of you flying over Mount Fiji, and I have to find out from Benghazi that you have twin babies. Eva and I are so excited for you. Please send pictures ASAP." And Glenn Dubin says, "Test tube babies, just thinking." Started looking up the term babies in the Epstein files, and this is when I came across this. It was titled Designer Babies in August of 2018, and he has it on like an agenda. Then I found this email, and it's from Brian Bishop to Jeffrey Epstein, and it's Designer Babies / Brian Bishop. So I looked up who Brian Bishop was, because I was like, why are they saying designer babies? And it says, Brian Bishop is a software engineer and a biohacker who gained attention for his attempts attempt to fund and advance a do-it-yourself or DIY designer baby project using Bitcoin. His project aimed to utilize the CRISPR gene editing technology to engineer human embryos for enhanced traits, such as increased muscle mass or improved memory. And this is the next email I found about designer babies, and it's from Brian Bishops to Jeffrey Epstein, and it says, "Here is a deck about my designer baby project. I have talked with Austin again, and we have a series of questions about how serious you are about wanting this, and what are the ground rules for me even exploring this with you and getting to next steps."
This terrifying obsession gives chilling context to the cryptic warnings dropped by insiders who managed to escape the Matrix. After the Epstein scandal fully detonated, music superstar Nicki Minaj took to social media and tweeted a dire warning about what she had learned during her time at the top of the industry. She didn't name names directly, but her words targeted the exact same elite circles operating in these files. She wrote that the industry is run by people practicing dark rituals in a satanic cult, claiming they take babies from other countries to use in blood sacrifices to maintain their power. You see, the use of stem cells, blood transfusions, and biological material from the young is a known obsession among the ultra-rich, who are terrified of aging and losing their grip on power. When you stack the biohacking emails from the DOJ files next to the warnings from industry insiders, the picture it paints is apocalyptic.
Here's what Nicki Minaj had to say. She wrote, "Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up." And yeah, she's not the first person in Hollywood to say that. I just don't know how much could be in our face anymore before we wake up and realize these people are ruling over us, and they win when we're fighting with each other. That's just the reality. I really don't see how you can have a ton of success in Hollywood and not be in the club, because Hollywood was founded upon this. I just don't really care what you call me. It's time for everyone to wake up.
The system was built to trap everyone who walked through its doors, but not everyone took the bait.
Let's talk about Oprah. Now, Oprah is limited in the context of the files, but there is clear collusion between Oprah and Jeffrey Epstein. What do you mean? Well, Sarah Ferguson, yes, the Duchess of York, she is involved with Epstein, and she is involved with Oprah. Let's talk about this specifically. Sarah sent Epstein an email saying, "I want to make sure you aware I'm going on Oprah tomorrow, and she is going to ask me about my debts, the entrapment of last year, and the press about you in January." It'll be quick and at the top of the show, all of 10 seconds, a very small piece. However, I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of this and seek your advice on how you want me to answer. It will be a tiny piece. This is straight up collusion. This is Oprah passing through a message to Epstein. And you know what? Jeffrey responded to Sarah with the answer that he was supposed to give. Jeffrey was unfairly characterized as a pedophile by the tabloid press. Many years ago, Jeffrey pleaded guilty to soliciting underage prostitutes. He paid his debt to society and has sought forgiveness. I have nothing more to say. This was in 2011. This is clear collusion between Oprah, Sarah, and Jeffrey.
Everybody that was very powerful. So like if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like to be honest, like if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Right, so the people who aren't in the files are losers.
Yes.
Okay. Are you in the files?
Well, of course I am, because it's any journalist that wrote about it.
That's an astonishing attitude, isn't it? You're the loser because you're not in this. I find that jaw-dropping.
If Epstein was an isolated incident, it could be written off as a bizarre mistake, but a chilling pattern was about to emerge. They say you are the company you keep, and the company at the very top of the Hollywood food chain has a terrifyingly similar resume. Over the years, the public has watched in horror as titan after titan of the entertainment industry fell from grace, exposed for running horrific rings of exploitation and abuse. And right there, smiling in the photos, attending the galas, and offering fierce public defense was Oprah. Take Harvey Weinstein. For decades, he was the golden god of cinema, a man who held the keys to every major career in Hollywood. He was celebrated, embraced, and fiercely protected by the industry's most powerful players, including Oprah herself, who counted him as a close friend. They were photographed cheek to cheek, reigning over an industry built on secrets.
And Diddy? He was embraced, promoted, and protected until the walls finally started closing in.
Oprah publicly supported victims of sexual assault in the wake of numerous allegations against Harvey Weinstein. Singer Seal Instagrammed this meme, showing Winfrey kissing the disgraced mogul. It reads, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution."
Please welcome Seal!
The 54-year-old who's appeared on Oprah's show captioned his post, "Oh, I forgot, that's right, you'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially young starry-eyed actresses, my bad." While Weinstein maintains his innocence, Seal hasn't commented further, and Oprah has not responded.
This moment is a really powerful time for everybody to get woke.
Fans have come to her defense, pointing out Winfrey is a sexual survivor. They also posted pics of Seal's ex, Heidi Klum, kissing Weinstein too.
When the dam finally broke and the avalanche of unspeakable allegations against Weinstein flooded the news, Oprah publicly stepped forward to support the victims. But the internet never forgets. Singer Seal took to Instagram and posted the now infamous meme showing Winfrey affectionately kissing the disgraced mogul. The caption was a brutal reality check. When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution. Seal sarcastically added that it was impossible for her to have heard the rampant rumors for years, but have no idea he was actually serially destroying young, starry-eyed actresses. And Weinstein wasn't the only one. She had well-documented ties to R. Kelly and Sean Diddy Combs, men whose massive empires eventually crumbled under the weight of horrific trafficking and abuse allegations.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14. And I've heard the stories of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me.
Okay. When you say you heard the stories, what do you mean? What stories?
I mean, you see it before. Look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through, and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, "They're trying to kill me."
Yeah, we hear those stories.
And it always happens around the time in their career where it seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau.
Yeah. Would you say you lost your mind, sort of?
No.
No.
Not exactly.
Okay.
I wasn't crazy, but it's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress. And they do what's called a salt trap. I didn't know this. Apparently baboons love salt.
Okay.
So they put a lump of salt in a hole, and they wait for the baboon. The baboon comes, sticks his hand in the hole, grabs the salt makes his hand bigger, and he's trapped. He can't get his hand out. Now, if he's smart, all he does is let go of the salt. Baboon doesn't want to let go of the salt. Then the bushman just comes, takes the baboon, throws him in the cage, and gives him all the salt he wants. And then the baboon gets thirsty. The bushman lets him out of the cage. The first place the baboon runs to is water. Bushman follows him, and they both drink to their fill. And in that analogy, I felt like the baboon. But I was smart enough to let go of the salt.
Then there's Peter Nygaard, a wildly wealthy fashion executive and one of Oprah's former guests. Nygaard was eventually caught on tape in a deeply disturbing sting. He was recorded trying to bribe vulnerable women to give him their aborted fetuses, babbling about the incredible value of umbilical cords, placentas, and stem cells to reverse aging. It sounds like the plot of a dystopian horror movie, but it was happening in real life, spoken by a man who casually rubbed shoulders with daytime television royalty. When you look at the sheer volume of disgraced, manipulative, and dangerous men who occupied her inner circle, you have to ask yourself a hard question. Is it truly possible to be the most connected woman in Hollywood and remain completely ignorant to the dark rituals and systemic abuse happening in the very rooms you sit in?
And the chairman of a prominent law firm is stepping down over his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Paul Weiss law chair Brad Karp says in a statement, quote, "Recent reporting has created a distraction and has placed a focus on me that's not in the best interest of the firm." The firm says Karp will remain with the firm, just in a different role. Senior Washington reporter Will Staken is here here for more. Hi, Will. So what's the latest on this growing list of prominent people facing scrutiny over the Epstein files?
Yeah, Diane, well, I think, Mr. Carper here is kind of the latest fallout from these Epstein files. Like you said, the really powerful law firm Paul Weiss announced that Mr. Carper would be stepping down after his name appeared in these files. Now, the law firm did not give a reason why Mr. Carper is stepping down, and previously the law firm denied Mr. Carper had any wrongdoing, but with this release of these files, his name appears in the files, mostly with his assistant trying to schedule meetings with Mr. Epstein. But there's an email between Mr. Karp and Epstein where he's asking about if he could help get his son some kind of job in an upcoming Woody Allen film. So I think these emails, obviously are continuing to have fallout across, widespread industries. It's kind of the latest fallout here. We saw recently that popular wellness influencer Peta Attia also stepped down from his role at the protein company David.
We are constantly told by the PR machines and the media elites to trust the headlines. We are told to trust the official conclusions, to trust that justice was ultimately served, and to trust that the billionaires and talk show hosts who shape our reality are inherently good people. But if that were true, why does the story still feel so entirely unfinished? Why are there still so many redacted documents, so many unanswered questions, and so little real accountability? The files tell a story of an intricate, unyielding web of power, silence, and control. And as the spotlight continues to search for the truth in the shadows of Hollywood, we are left with one haunting realization. The curtain has only just begun to lift. Who will be exposed next?
According to an FBI record, Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died. That on July 29, 2019, his lawyers and the federal prosecutors in this case, in very general terms, discussed the possibility of a resolution of the case and the possibility of the defendant's cooperation. Cooperation's key. Defense counsel did not make a specific proposal, and they did not indicate what the nature of Epstein's cooperation might be, if any. But it was suggested that defense counsel contact SDNY if Epstein was prepared to accept responsibility for his conduct and or they had a specific proposal for a resolution of this case. Okay, so maybe he was going to work out a deal and then he dies, right? That looks suspicious. This is a guy who had connections to the rich and powerful, potentially had a lot of information. Strange, he just dies, right?